Hello, everybody. My name is Brandon Peterson. I'm an account manager with ApplicantStack. We're so grateful for you to join us today. We're joined also by Carol and Ellen, two other account managers with ApplicantStack. As is our custom, we'll wait a couple more minutes to let any late stragglers enter into the call, and then we'll continue our presentation, about a 10-minute presentation about nurturing campaigns, and I'll be the presenter today. Okay, folks, again, thank you for attending today. We'll go ahead and get started. Again, my name is Brandon Peterson. I'm an account manager with ApplicantStack, and I'm joined by our two other account managers, Carol and Ellen. We have a presentation today for about 10 minutes, and then we will go into our Ask Me Anything section of the call. And our topic today is about nurturing campaigns. So a nurturing campaign, this is the terminology we use for nagging the candidate, essentially. So we understand that in today's recruiting world, oftentimes when a candidate is applying, they're applying for many positions at different companies. And it's our goal to want to stand out and cut through all of that noise of all the other companies vying for this candidate's attention. And so it's natural for candidates to miss emails, to forget about a follow-up. And so we want to set a nurturing campaign where we nurture the candidate into the next step of our recruiting process. So it's natural with any kind of applicant tracking software. One of the most basic things is to message the candidate acknowledging that we've received their application. And something that I like to do, and this is just a personal preference, I like to include a call to action in that application received message. And the reason I like to do that is because then it engages the candidate, it gives them some buy-in, and it also helps them feel that we're interested in them. So if we're having a call to action, inviting that candidate to move on further in the application process, whereas the competitor is not, I feel like that gives us a little bit of an edge. So we're going to talk about how to do that today. So I'm going to show you this via the application workflow. We get to the application workflow by going to the Head and Shoulders icon, and then the Configure button, and then down here at the bottom of my screen, we'll see the application workflow. We can have multiple application workflows. Most of our accounts have one, maybe two, but you can have many more if you'd like. And so every account should at least have a default application workflow, and that's what we'll be working in today. All right, so now I'm showing my demo account application workflow. So let's talk through this for a minute. So first is the new stage. Your stage might be called application received, but mine's called the new stage. And so what happens here is the candidate enters this stage once the application has been submitted. All right, so once the application has been submitted, I've set up my stage here to have 3 different messages go out on a cadence. The first one goes out immediately, and if they don't respond to it, then the second one goes out the next day. And if they don't respond to that, then one goes out on the third day. We can have many of these. I don't know if there's a limit. I've never reached the limit. We could have 10 if we wanted. Um, Certainly after 3 or 4, if the candidate's ignoring it, we probably have a good idea they're not interested in us, or we probably don't want to pursue them. Um, but let me show you these messages. So the first message looks like this, and for those of you who are with Home Instead, you'll recognize this. We're using your logo. Thank you for that. So this message is an email. And this email has some graphics in it, a little bit of HTML, so we can add that to our emails to make it look nice. And you'll see it says Dear Candidate, and that's addressing the candidate's name. It's a merge code, and it pulls from their application their name, so we can address them and personalize the message. Thanks for considering a position with us. We've received your initial application and now have some follow-up questions for you. So this is that call to action that I mentioned earlier. Will you please take 60 seconds to complete the following questionnaire so we can learn more about you? And so this is the, this is the next merge code, and this is actually a questionnaire. It won't show like this to the candidate. It'll actually say the name of the questionnaire, and the name of this particular questionnaire is application follow-up. Then the message continues, this questionnaire is a required part of your application, so we need you to complete it before we can move on to the next steps. Okay, so this is the message they're going to get immediately following the submission of their application. Now with premium texting, I also have a text message that goes with it, okay? So acknowledging that text messages is a more informal form of communication, I'm saying the same thing, but I've reworded it a little bit. Obviously, you're not going to have an email signature in your text message. We want to keep it short and pithy. So here I'm addressing the candidate. I introduce myself with my first name and who I'm with. And then I say, thank you for applying for this job. To continue your application, we have a few more questions for you. Will you please take I put 6 seconds, that's a typo. It should say 60 seconds to complete the following questionnaire. And then the same questionnaire is linked there. So they can either access it via their text messages or via their email. And then I go on to clarify that once this has been completed, we can move forward with your application. Thank you. All right, so that's the first message, and that again goes out immediately. Now, we all have experienced candidates not responding to this type of thing. So this is where the first follow-up comes in. So the next day, nearly identical message, but I've reworded it slightly to address the fact that it is a follow-up message. So we recently contacted you about your application for this job, and we still haven't heard from you, but we're eager to learn more about you in order to move forward with your application. And then we link again to this questionnaire. Again, an associated text message that goes with it. Text messages have a much higher open rate. I've heard it's between 80 and 90%. Certainly when someone's applying for a job, they may be more keyed into and watching for those. And with text message, we don't have the same problems as we do with email, like folks forgetting which email address they provided to us, so they don't know which account to look in. Folks forgetting their email password, and just technical problems that come with their email. So with text messages, that can cut through all that, and we can have a higher rate of them completing these things and seeing that message. All right, and then on the third day, we have a similar reworded question, example of a message and a text message. All right, so one thing I also like to do, and this may be a little bit of an aside from nurturing campaigns, but again, if we have a call to action, particularly if it's a questionnaire, this can help us keep our workflow organized by automating the stage change when the questionnaire is completed. So I've set this questionnaire that I've linked into with all these messages to automatically move the candidate to the manager review stage once the questionnaire has been completed. It requires no intervention from any ApplicantStack users. Now, how do we do that? We do that in the library. I'm going to, see, I want to leave this window open. I'm going to switch over here. Taking a second here to load. Oh no, try it again. There we go. All right, so my application follow-up questions right here. And if I click on it, you'll see at the top, there's scoring rules that I can add and there's actions that I can add. And so I've added an action. And so with the stage actions, I've set the stage to manager review once the candidate completes the questionnaire. And so this is really nice because if you're going to make that questionnaire a required part of the application process, you don't even have to look at the candidates until they've entered the manager review stage. That can be very helpful because we understand that we all get sometimes garbage applications. We get applications that people are applying because maybe they're trying to keep their unemployment benefits, or oftentimes we get spammed by applications from other countries or people who are out of the area. So with this follow-up questionnaire, we can filter through those and not have to spend our time chasing those down. So now the candidate, once it's completed, they will automatically move to the manager review stage. And I want to credit Carol for teaching me that little trick. Thank you, Carol. This is the questionnaire that I've built. This one in particular, again, is targeted toward home care company. And so I've selected which cities within our territory that we might be servicing a client. And so we're asking the employee if they are willing to see clients in these various cities. One might live in one corner of the valley, and they may, the opposite corner of the valley might just be too far for them. So we want to capture that. Not only does this tell us more about how to make a hiring decision, but it's also communicating back to the applicant that we're interested in this, that we care about where they want to work and we want to work with them and find something that's a good fit for them. And then there's some more basic questions about driver's license, reliable vehicle, and some of their experience. Okay, so now I'm going to flip back to the workflow. So that's the first example of a nurturing campaign. It's with the application received. And another example here is with the interview. So I have, again, an interview. I've set this up so that the candidate will get an email automatically when the manager moves the candidate into the interview stage. So if they're moved into the interview stage, that'll trigger ApplicantStack to both send them an invite to schedule their own interview, and that will be based on my availability in my Outlook calendar. It can link to that. And then I'm also sending out an additional email and text message to reference that interview invite. Okay, I just want to make sure I cover all my bases. So here, this message says, I sent you an invite to select a time for interview. You should receive it in the next couple minutes. Likewise with the text message, it says a similar thing. Now I want to add the second day follow-up for this. So I would go to edit the workflow. I would add an additional message, and I'll select from my library here the other message that is called interview request follow-up. And so that would go out the next day. All right, so I hope you find value in this. We can set nurturing campaigns for any stage. We can set a nurturing campaign for them to complete their background check, for them to schedule their interview, for them to complete anything that we need them to. And I hope that you can find value in this and help it to streamline your workflow process and hopefully capture more good qualified candidates for your business. Thank you. We'll take time for questions now. Okay, no questions coming through just yet.
Yep, and questions don't have to be related to this topic. They can be anything ApplicantStack.
Brandon, you did such a fantastic job. We're not getting any questions.
Well, I hope that's why we're not getting any questions. Thank you.
But again, as Carol stated, you can input any questions on anything ApplicantStack Recruit or onboarding.
Okay, there's one. Can you go right from the questionnaire stage to the schedule interview stage? Yes, we could. Now, the questionnaire necessarily is not a stage in itself. In my demo here, the questionnaire is living as it's attached to the new stage or the application received stage. So if I didn't have a manager review stage, and that's completely fine, perhaps we want to automate that as well so that we're getting as many people in for interviews as possible. So that's an excellent question, Nicholas. Thank you for asking that. What I would do then is I could either just obviously, if that's the way your workflow would be going, I probably wouldn't need a manager review stage, so I would want to remove that. And then I would go to back to my library, edit the questionnaire, and change my action from manager review to the interview stage. And so now what you're asking now is that the candidate would complete their application, they'd then complete the questionnaire, and once that's complete, they would then get a response back because now they're in the interview stage. They would get a response back inviting them to schedule their own interview.
All right, there is another question. Hi. Oh, you got a, Brandon, you got a yes, thanks from Nicholas. Excellent. The next question is, hi, I'm not receiving notifications about receiving texts from the applicant. I've gone to settings, but only see a notification for email on checkbox. Not sure where to go. You going to user? Yep. All right, Brandon is going to show you, Cheryl.
Yeah, Cheryl, great question. I've heard this question before. Obviously, it's the setting might be a little bit hidden for you all, maybe not that intuitive, but it is sitting in the user settings. So if you go to setup and then users, and I scroll down, let's see here. I am in the right place, right, Ellen? Notifications. It isn't set up. Hold on. You guys got me a little bit confused here. So settings, edit settings.
There you go.
There we go. All right, so forgive me. It's not in the user settings. It is in there. It's in the account settings. So under account settings, you would click settings and then edit settings. And then we scroll down to candidate texting settings. And this is where right now I have text notifications turned off. I would turn those on, and those notifications then come to my email box every time a text is responded to.
And Brandon, do something for me, please, if you don't mind, because I'm wondering if this needs to be done not only the account level, but also the user level. So do you mind flipping text notifications to on like you've done and then go back into your user profile?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's two settings, obviously. So in order for any individual, any ApplicantStack user to get notifications when texts arrive, that account level setting that Brandon just modified needs to be flipped to on. And then individual users can modify their user profiles as they want it to. So in this case, you'd have to flip text email notifications on within your user profile as well.
Okay, thank you, Ellen.
It takes a team, Brandon. All right, next question. Is there a way to see where an application came from other than what the candidate puts into the application? So looking for a source. And the answer to that is yes. ApplicantStack will track the source, but there are settings you need to set in order for that to happen properly. Brandon, you want to go please to job boards from the blue menu on the left? Okay, and then what you'll see here are your public job board, which is your company's, your organization's job board. And you'll see the source value there is blank. Well, you probably want to specify a source value there, which will tell you if your candidates visited your website and then your job board. So the drop down there, let's see what's there, Brandon, in your particular account.
Yeah, for some reason my screen share, I've clicked on it, but my screen share, because I'm only sharing the window, it won't show the pop-up. But if I click on it, I have blank, Career Builder, Facebook, Glassdoor,
Okay.
Google, Indeed, LinkedIn, Monster, and Twitter.
Okay, so go back to all the job boards, if you will, please. Just one step back. And so anytime you want to track the source, that source value should be defined next to the job board, as you see that what Brandon is showing you now. So let's see, Indeed postings, you'll see the source value is Indeed. LinkedIn limited postings, likewise, the source value is LinkedIn. If you have other sources that you're tracking, then you do need to add those to that drop-down that Brandon was describing, and that's through the configuring your an application field. So if I'm getting a little bit into the weeds here, but if you click on configure, you're ahead of me, Brandon, thank you. And then application fields, you'll notice one of them is your source field. So if Brandon edits his options there, you can see his source options, and you can add source options to that application field. And then you'll be able to track all options as to where your candidates are coming from. And I say you, the system will automatically track that for you.
Thank you, Ellen. So yeah, I've added public job board because that wasn't an option to my list here. And so now I would go back to job boards, edit the settings for my public job board, and change the source value to public job board. And now I would be able to track that source value.
Exactly. And that's especially important to do if you're paying for a job board, such as Career Builder or Monster. You really want to set that source value because you want to make sure you're getting your return on investment. And then you can run a report on where your candidates are coming from, and you can also filter under the Candidates tab as to where your candidates are coming from as well. All right, I hope that answered that question. Next question, and Brandon, I think you're seeing them too. What is the current cost of premium texting?
Yes, so the cost of premium texting is $95 a month for unlimited users and unlimited texts. This covers both recruit and onboarding. So if you're only a recruit customer, the cost is $95. If you're a recruit and an onboarding customer, the cost is $95. So there's some incentive there. If you do take on premium texting, you're getting added value if you're an onboarding user as well.
Right. It is a bargain. The next question is from Cheryl. I actually only get a spinning wheel under the company settings where there should be the text notifications. All right. Cheryl, will you let us know what home instead franchise number you are? And Brandon can follow up with you on that one. Unless you have something more to add, Brandon.
Well, I will add, she's got another question here about billing options not being available. So if you are a home instead, user, the billing is not available for you. You will have to contact me, put in a support ticket using the orange box up here and click ask a question. And then just let me know that you're wanting to activate either basic or premium texting, and then I can get that activated for you. If we already have billing like a credit card on file, then it's a very easy process. If we don't have that yet, we'll need to do a quick call to gather that information.
All right, and Cheryl did put in her home instead franchise number too, as well, Brandon. All right.
Okay.
So the next question from Daniela, I do notice that the text alerts on ApplicantStack do not show up in a timely manner. We do get an email when applicants send a text message, but messages on ApplicantStack are delayed. Is anyone else having this issue?
Haven't heard of that issue before.
Nor have I.
But that would certainly be something you'd want to submit to technical support so we could have our technical team review that. I'm curious to know if it's just the notification to email that's delayed, or if you're also seeing a delay in the notification within the ApplicantStack icon. When you have a text message that's been responded to, there's the text message icon up here, the two thought bubbles or conversation bubbles, and you'll see a red badge indicating how many new messages you have. So I'm curious to know if the delay that you're experiencing also applies to this. Oh, Daniela says yes, even that is delayed. Okay,
I'm
so that was
wondering if it's a security feature in their particular organization, if it's across the board, but submitting a ticket.
Yeah, please submit a ticket for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, hours is too long. I would consider that a problem. Certainly with text and the recruiting environment we're in, we'd want to be able to respond to those candidates quickly and show that we're responsive. So thank you for bringing that up. Please put in a support ticket through the ApplicantStack Support Center. Okay, thank you.
All right, and then Nicholas has another question, Brandon. Put in a request to move from the multi-stage application to the short form. How long does it take to affect that change? And Nicholas is also interested in discussing a little bit more about premium texting.
Okay, yeah, we'll, I don't know when you put the ticket in, but we have a queue for those requests, and we'll get to that as soon as possible. Since you brought it up to my attention, I'll definitely filter that up to the top and get that addressed by the end of today.
Excellent. Okay, and Danielle's you'd already seen this, Brandon, about their delay, and thinks that, excellent, Danielle, that she's already submitted a ticket on that.
Okay, very good.
All right. That's it for the questions in the queue right now. We can take this opportunity to kind of promote the next Ask Me Anything hours. They are on March 9th and March 23rd, so you have the ability to register for those hours as well, Ask Me Anything hours. And then we are conducting an ApplicantStack Recruit webinar on March 14th. So you'll have the opportunity, or do have the opportunity, to sign up for those next 3 sessions.
I would like to just add a little bit to Nicholas's issue, because it really does, in a way, dovetail into what we're discussing today, and that is moving from the multi-stage application to the shortened application. Again, this would apply only to home instead accounts, and forgive me if you're not a home instead user, but when we abandon that multi-stage application in favor of the short application, we're obviously not collecting nearly as much hiring decision information. We don't have very much information to go off of to make a hiring decision. So that's where these automated questionnaires can really come in handy. We can almost duplicate the multi-stage application by adding the missing questions into a questionnaire. and then we're still getting the same the same information from the candidate, but we're doing it in phases. And by doing that, we cast a wider net in our recruiting efforts. More people complete those shorter applications because they're easier, and then we can follow up and nurture them into completing those other questions so that we can make a wise hiring decision. So I'm glad you brought that up, Nicholas. Okay, nothing else?
I think we're ready to close it down, Brandon.
I think so. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ellen, for your help. Thank you all for your attendance. We'll go ahead and close the meeting, and we look forward to seeing you on our next Ask Me Anything. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Yep. Thank you. Bye-bye.